All right, Shalom. First and foremost, we like to give all honor and glory and praise unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakadash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, to all the Akim out there teaching and preaching this truth with 144% sincerity, to the men, women, and children listening and learning, and to the Bayasha Dabadat, the House of David. This is Men of Valor Las Vegas Camp. I am Ayasha Tab.
I'm Darash.
And I'm Karakazai.
Salakia. All right, and coming to you today through the will and power of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai on the Northern Kingdom. All right, Lord willing, this is an edifying lesson. Salakia, that is an edifying lesson. And, without further ado, let's go ahead and, Salakia, have the hiccups and get into these scripts.
All right, this is the book of Tobit. This is going to be chapter 3, verse 4. For they obeyed not thy commandments, wherefore thou hast delivered us for a spoil, and unto captivity and unto death, and for a proverb of reproach to all the nations among whom we are dispersed.
Khan. So us so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Seminole Indians, Haitians, Puerto Ricans, Guatemalans, Argentinian to Chile, Uruguay, Mexicans, all right, we are the children of Israel, all right? Our biblical nationality, that Bible that is sold in is the number one seller in the United States of America, all right? That Bible is our heritage book, all right? Being an Israelite is not a religion. We are not a religious group. It is our heritage that was stolen from us. All right? Southern and Northern Kingdom. And regardless of what you scoffers say, Northern, so-called Hispanics, Native Americans, all right, all the way down to Mexicans are the same people of the same nation. You fucking scoffers out there.
This is verse 5. And now thy judgments are many and true. Deal with me according to my sins and my fathers, because we have not kept thy commandments, neither have walked in truth before thee.
So we didn't keep the law, statutes, and commandments and in truth. All right, the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28. All right, let's take that back, Salaki. Deuteronomy chapter 11, verses 26 through 28, all right, still applies to those so-called Mexicans, Native Americans, all right? That includes those Aztecs, all right? The Apaches, all right? All of them. And the Mexicans, the hombres, yes.
The Mayans,
the Mayans, all of them. We are of the same nation. Those curses, they go through the same stuff. The same exact stuff they have to go through. Why? Because those are our brothers and sisters. If their father's line goes back to those bywords, if it goes back to Judah, Benjamin, Levi, Simeon, Zebulun, Ephraim, Manasseh, Gad, Reuben, Naphtali, Asher, and Issachar, your biblical nationality. If your father's line goes back there, then you are of the seed of Israel, the chosen people of the Holy Scriptures.
There's a lot of Judites actually in Brazil.
God.
So even if you're from Brazil, you might think you're from the Northern Kingdom, but you're really from you might actually be from the Southern. But
such as a speckled bird, Salakia, such as a speckled bird, being so-called white, all right? You might be the whitest of the white person on the outward part, all right? On the out. Okay. But you still have the swag of a Jake, all right? You still live through these curses. You still catching hell, all right? If you so-called white and you deal with the curses in the book of Deuteronomy, read it for yourself. Then guess what? Congratulations, you're an Israelite. congratulations. And I say congratulations because call law Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai that you are of that chosen seed. If not, well, you're just another nation.
And it goes both ways too, because a lot of people that might think they're Judites, they're actually from Gad.
God.
I had a step grandpa, and he was damn near darker than he was from Gad, but he was almost darker than Wesley Snipes. So,
Oh, and Salakia, one more thing. And if the father's seed is of another nation, all right, but you look like a so-called Negro, but your father is so-called Caucasian, all right, I'm sorry to tell you, you do not belong to the nation of Israel. Nor if you're a woman, you do not belong to the nation of Israel, because it goes by your father's seed, all right? Any other nation outside of the nations that are on that chart back there, it's a wrap, son. You do not belong. You don't fit the bloodline. It's an exclusive club, all right, that Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai made. Don't get mad. It's just business. And let's get back to our father's business.
Right, so this is going to explain like how both northern and southern kingdom, shared the same struggles, This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 50 and verse 33. It says, "Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast, that refused to let them go." Because at that time, the children of Judah, was the southern kingdom, and the northern kingdom was just known as Israel. This was after the split, so there was two different kingdoms.
John.
So now we're gonna jump in book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 13, and verse 40. It reads, "Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king, whom Salmanassar the king of Assyria led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land."
Wait a minute. They came into another land? How could it be so? All right, they came into another land by the wayward of ships. All right, before the Atlantic slave trade. All right, because just a brief. All right, King Solomon, all right, used to send and have voyages come over here for the minerals. All right, for the animals and everything. You can read that in the account, all right, in the Bible, all right, that actually happened. So America was nothing new. This was just another part of the world where substance was until the time where the Northern Kingdom needed to flee.
Well, America was a land uninhabited. It was man really didn't know. It was a wilderness. To man.
The water, that's a better way to say it.
Yeah, it was a wilderness where, Solomon had men go out there, but it was unknown. It was like how
it was the jungle.
So how Christopher Columbus described it to build himself up as the man that found it and broke into this fantastic voyage. It was already discovered previously. That's why he had a Hebrew translator. Because why the Hebrews were already over there. The Gadites and the Northern Kingdom. You want to pull 2 Kings right now?
Okay. Pull 2 Kings 17.
3.
Start at 1.
This is the book of 2 Kings, chapter 17, verse 1. In the 12th year of Ahaz, king of Judah, began Hoshea, the son of Elah, to reign in Samaria over Israel 9 years. Verse 2, and he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, but not as the kings of Israel that were before him.
So he did what was evil. Think of all the evil, wicked stuff that could be done by these other nations that not could be done, that was done. Salakia. You know? Go into verse 3 on Salakia.
Verse 3, against him came up Shalmaneser, king of Assyria, and Hoshea became his servant and gave him presents.
God. You want to go ahead and pull that down? Or you want me to go?
Keep on going.
God. Go ahead and go through. And so presents, and those, Salakia, where do those presents come from? Salakia, those presents came from the inhabited world, that wilderness. All right, continue.
Verse 4, and the king of Assyria found conspiracy in Hoshea, for he had sent messengers to So, king of Egypt, and brought no present to the king of Assyria, as he had done year by year. Therefore the king of Assyria shut him up and bound him in prison.
You stop giving gifts? I'm going to need that.
Again, this is how Yahweh Shem Shai was using the left-hand side for their whipping stick.
God.
You know, because he allowed Shalmaneser to come up against Hoshea.
All right, verse 5. Then the king of Assyria came up throughout all the land and went up to Samaria and besieged it 3 years. Verse 6, in the 9th year of Hoshea, the king of Assyria took Samaria and carried Israel away into Assyria and placed them in Halah and in Habor by the river of Gozan and in the cities of the Medes.
How did, we're going to get into it, but the northern kingdom came through the Euphrates River and through the Persian Gulf, to get to the Americas.
Right. Which is landmass, which is a voyage that they have taken before. You know? They have continuously taken. You know? Keep on going. Go down to verse 6.
Yeah. No. 8, go down to 6.
All right, right, 6. Yeah.
All right, Salak, go down to 8. Salakia.
Okay. This is, you want to skip 7, go to 8?
No,
okay.
Go 7 and 8.
Okay.
Salakia.
Verse 7. For so it was that the children of Israel had sinned against the Lord their power, which had brought them up out of the land of Egypt, from under the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and had feared other powers.
What? Wait a minute. Read that again. And the reason why I'm having this brother read it again, because if you watch our camp video, we have some scoffers that are sitting there talking about that so-called Latinos are not the same people. They were in Egypt with us. Okay? Had to go through the same burdens. We are the same nation. All right, go ahead and read that again, Salaki.
Verse 7. For so it was that the children of Israel had sinned against the Lord their power, which had brought them up out of the land of Egypt from under the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and had feared other powers.
Well, if you so-called 5%ers don't read the Bible, we obviously cannot be on one accord. All right, we're not evenly yoked. So, this is why you don't understand. Go ahead and continue.
Verse 8, and walked in the statutes of the heathen, whom the Lord cast out from before the children of Israel, and of the kings of Israel, which they had made.
God, and actually, you 5%ers, all right, are heathens. All right, because you follow the ways after customs of Egypt. All right, so what makes you an abomination as well? Just call it, hey, call it like it is. All right, that was verse 8, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Second Esdras, chapter 13, in verse 41, it says, "But they took this counsel amongst themselves, and that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt." Talking about the Americas.
Okay.
Verse 42, that they might.
Slack. So it said mankind never dwelt there.
Right.
All right, look up that word dwelt right quick. Slakia.
Should be
Blue letter.
Yeah.
A living place.
Blue letter Elton.
Blue leather. Just want to make, just for edification.
I don't think it's going to be in blue letter.
No, it's in the blue letter, just in different script to pull though.
It might not be the same.
What script was that you read?
It's in the Apocrypha. It's not going to be in.
Oh, that is.
Slakia.
Look after the.
Yeah, so just look it up.
Yeah,
Slakia.
Yeah.
I forgot you reading out the Apocrypha. Sometimes it's just all one book to me.
Right.
Everything should be in there.
Dwelt is not in there, but we'll look at dwell. Dwell, to lead into error, deceive, mislead, to be led into error, go wrong in belief or judgment, to delay, hesitate, or go astray.
Dwell?
Dwell, the verb.
Dwells. So look it up, not in etymology.
Yeah.
Just dwells.
So it goes just the. I got it right here.
Right.
So Google dictionary. So Oxford languages. Dwell is just the past tense. It says live in or specify a place.
Live in or specifies place.
Live in or at a specified place, reside, live, lodge, stay, hang out, put up, abide, sojourn.
All right.
Some similes.
Now let's go ahead and read that script again. just for edification, to understand exactly what it just said. I didn't want it to fly past. For any people who are just waking up through the will and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, it's different when you bring out the definition of a word. Even if it's a word that you so-called already know.
All right. So verse 41 it says, "But they took this counsel amongst themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt."
All right, so nobody ever lived there. All right, never mankind. Doesn't mean that mankind hasn't already been there. It just means they never lived there.
Right, because what he read back in 2 Kings verse 17, they went and put Shalmaneser, he put the northern kingdom in the land of the Medes, right? So they said, what they said in verse 41, they took counsel amongst themselves. They said, we're going to leave these heathens and went to a further country. Now that further country being, we're going to get into it, where we at right now. And so verse 42 says that they might there keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land. So what was that? They made another promise with the Most High, right?
Okay.
And saying that we're gonna get back on track.
We're gonna get this right this time.
We're gonna go over there. We're not gonna mess with the heathens no more. And we're gonna keep the covenants that we didn't keep over here, or that we didn't even keep in our respective lands, because that's how we even got to captivity.
God, following after the way of the heathens, you other nations.
And it says, verse 43, and they entered into the Euphrates by the narrow passages of the river. For the Most High then showed signs for them and held still the flood till they were passed over. You know, and this is how a lot of like scholars even try to cancel out the Northern Kingdom. You know, because they said that the Euphrates River was too
rough.
Was too rough for them to get across.
And you know, through the Spirit, if you go in and physical evidence, if you go and look at documentaries on the parting of the Red Sea, right? There's chariots and buggies down there today. All right? There's chariots under the Red Sea today. Goes to show you there is physical evidence. Evidence. So if Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai parted the Red Sea and there's physical evidence, what makes you think that he couldn't hold water? All right, hold the wind. So that the Northern Kingdom can come down and get to the land where we are going to be punished. All right, because this is all Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai's will.
John, I just want to go into that word Euphrates. You know, it means, you know, so the Strong's it's Hebrew 6:577, and it's Parath.
Strong's H 6578. Parath.
And
Second entry. Polrath.
So and it goes in the Strong's definition. It says to break forth, rushing. You know, a river of the east. So you know, it was a strong river.
Ah.
You know, it also means fruitfulness. You know, because I believe that how there would be floods in the Euphrates, and that's how they would get to their that land around the Euphrates would be like a lot of nutrients in there, because at certain periods of time there would be floods that would bring the water, rise the water up, you know, and then it will go away, but it would leave the land rich. This is so going back, I'm gonna reread verse 43. It says, and they entered into Euphrates by the narrow passages of the river, for the Most High then showed signs for them. You know, so he was their guidance. You know, he guided the Northern Kingdom through the Euphrates. And it says, and held still the flood till they were passed over. You know, so there was some divine intervention. You know, quoting Samuel Jackson from what's that? Pulp Fiction. You know, you know, there's some divine intervention going on. You know, and
such as there was sluggage, such as there was in Egypt.
Right.
You know,
the same thing.
It's the same thing.
You know, the miracles that were performed back then, they same miracles. You know, different version.
Yeah. Same power, different version.
Right.
You know,
different miracle. You know, and that's how they made it through there. You know, it was the Most High's will. You know, this is verse 45, and it says, "For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half. And the same region is called Azareth." So that word Azareth, it goes back to other land. Now I'm gonna pull this in Deuteronomy.
Pull.
Yeah, 1 Corinthians.
Yeah, pull 1 Corinthians.
This is the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 12, verse 2.
Verse 32.
Verse 32. Slocky. There's no 32.
1 Corinthians.
1 Corinthians, chapter 12. And the last one is only 30. The highest goes to
Let me grab this real quick,
God.
and then we'll go on to that.
I said Corinthians, Chronicles, Slocky.
So this is Deuteronomy chapter 28, or chapter 29 and verse 28. And it says, "And the Lord rooted them out of their land in anger and in wrath, and in great indignation, and cast them into another land, as it is this day. So another land, or an other land, which is, going back into Second Esdras in verse chapter 13 and verse 45. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half, and the same region is called Azareth, or other land.
God.
So Azareth is talking about the Americas. All right.
This is the book of First Chronicles, chapter 12, verse 32. And of the children of Issachar, which were men that had understanding of the times, to know what Israel ought to do. The heads of them were 200, and all their brethren were at their commandment.
So, read that one more time.
First Chronicles chapter 12, verse 32. And of the children of Issachar, which were men that had understanding of the times, to know what Israel ought to do. The heads of them were 200, and all their brethren were at their commandment.
What did Issachar? What is Issachar? All right, and what does the children of Israel? All right, Issachar, Gad, Reuben. Okay, what are they? What am I trying to say? What are their specialties? All right, each nation has a specialty. All right, and theirs was navigation. All right, there's a navigation. If you actually go into the book of Matthew, chapter 16 and verse 3, and this is Yahushua speaking, and it reads, "And in the morning it will be full, whether today, for the sky is red and lower. Slakia, I got it in a color I can't see. Lowering over ye hypocrites." And Yahushua says, let me read from the beginning in Slakia. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 16 and verse 3. "And in the morning it will be full, whether today, for the sky is red and lowering. O ye hypocrites, ye can discern the faces of the skies, but can ye not discern the signs of the times?" All right, so that was actually Yahushua speaking to the northern tribe. All right, about discerning the time. All right, they were what is the word? Master navigators, astronomers. Could discern the times. Slaki could discern the stars and the navigation, because you can navigate your position by the stars. All right. That's powerful. Why speak to thou in parables? That's Yahweh Shemi Yahushai. Slakia. I just wanted to touch on that. You had something else? Slakia.
So, you want me to go back in?
Tom, you can go back. Salakia, you were at 45?
Yeah, I'll just read down 46. "So then dwelt they there," talking about Azareth, "until the latter time. And now when they shall begin to come, the highest shall stay the springs of the stream again, that they may go through. Therefore sawest thou the multitude with peace." It says, "But those that be left behind of thy people are they that are found within my borders." So it's talking who got left behind.
Who? Read that again. Just
the last one?
God.
Or the whole thing?
The whole thing.
So verse 46, it says, "Then dwelt they there until the latter time, and now when they shall begin to come." It says, the highest shall stay the springs of the stream again, that they may go through. Therefore sawest thou the multitude with peace. But those that be left behind of thy people are they that are found within my borders.
So who did Yahweh Bashem Yahushai bring through? The northern kingdom. All right. Got 46, or was that 46? Or go to 47?
Through 48 already.
48. Slovakia. Why am I on? Slovakia. Yeah. 48. Let me go back. Slovakia. Hey, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai has made it very clear in appearance, like I'm looking for a script, that he has moved forward the nation of Israel, southern and northern kingdom. All right, it is by His work and His will that we came in to this place for our captivity. All right. Then the northern kingdom's captivity started again. All right, when they came to the Americas, when the colonizers came, Esau, Edom. You have the Trail of Tears. You have the same experiments, as almost like the Tuskegee experiment, right? Did they not give them blankets with smallpox? They didn't have to ship them, too many to America. They shipped them from America other places, right? Took them out of their land, because to have knowledge of for there to be more so-called Native Americans in their own land only would end up hurting them in the long run, So they used the slave trade both ways, to and fro.
They used, those the colonizers used the Southern Kingdom, as part of their army to take over the Northern Kingdom.
God.
They were putting because by then they had already lost track of their heritage. They were already in the hidden ones. Pertaining to Psalms 83. So they didn't know that they were actually fighting their brother.
Matter of fact, can you pull Baruch chapter 2 and go into 30? And it goes to show you how Bashem Yahushai, all right, has roughly paraphrased the scripture. I forget which scripture exactly is. He says, I have sheep that are not of this fold. Slovakia. But he was talking about the northern kingdom. All right? And through the Spirit, we're going to try to pull that too. But pull Baruch chapter 2 and go through verse 30 through 35.
I was going to say. All right, this is Baruch chapter 2 and verse 30. It says, for I knew that they would not hear me, because it is a stiff-necked people, but in the land of their captivities they shall remember themselves.
Hey, that's the southern and northern kingdom. All right, even though that the northern kingdom was here before, it's still the land of captivity for us.